What's good? Today's video we are going to talk about side hustles. Now, I know there's a lot of videos out there where people talk about the top 5 side hustles that can earn you money mad easy, or how I made $3,000 doing this side hustle. And there are a lot of awesome side hustles out there, but I can't really talk about anything that I actually didn't do. So I'm going to talk about 5 side hustles that I had, and I'm going to let y'all know what was the best one. I'm also going to tell y'all what was the worst ones. It was a couple on the list that was kind of terrible. One was too much damn work, and one of them was about to clog my carotid arteries, and I thought I was going to die of hypertension and high blood pressure. So let's get into it. Methods that I've actually used, and which one was the best, which one was the easiest, which one made me the most money for the least amount of effort. Let's dive in. What's good? I'm Marcus. You're at the channel The Debt Free Dad, where we're talking finances and financial education and letting y'all know what's going on in the household of the Debt Free Dad as we're on that journey to become first generation millionaires. Hey, as always, I'm a licensed attorney, but I'm not your attorney, not legal advice, not financial advice. So if that's what you want, you're damn sure not going to get it here. Go somewhere else looking for that. We just, keeping it a buck, talking about what's going on in finances. Now, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about side hustles. Everybody is always on the lookout for passive income and side hustles. But what's the number one rule to having a side hustle? Y'all tell me the number one rule. I'm going to wait. The number one rule to a side hustle is you don't want to do no damn hard work. If you have a side hustle and your side hustle is worse than your regular job, you need to quit that side hustle and find a new side hustle. That's the golden rule. The number one rule of side hustles is a side hustle shouldn't be that damn hard. If it's too hard, if it's harder than your job, if you leaving your side hustle more wore out than you were when you left your regular 9 to 5, if you leaving your side hustle and you too tired to get to work in the morning, quit that side hustle immediately. The side part means it's a job on the side of your regular 9 to 5. And the hustle, the whole definition of hustle is you want to get maximum income for minimal effort. That's the whole reason that why does somebody want to be, hey, I'm a hustler? Because I'm out here getting maximum return for minimum effort. So if you're getting minimum return for maximum effort, you got to rethink that. And trust me, I've been in a position where my 9 to 5 was minimal return for maximum effort. So I get it, but that's the golden rule. The side hustle is it shouldn't be strenuous. So I'm going to talk about 5 side hustles that I actually had that I've tried. I'm going to go into the list. I wrote it down. I went old school today because I've been watching all these videos where everybody got planners. So I wrote it down with notes. All right, so number 5 on the list is, hey, and I would do this every winter, right around time Christmas was about to pop up. I already knew that this company was going to need some extra help, and I just didn't want to actually have to use money that we already had budgeted or set aside for Christmas gifts. I was like, you know what? I could do this for 8 weeks, stack up some money, and just use that money. Was working at UPS. Now, there are some pros and cons to working at UPS. One of the pros working at UPS is you actually get great benefits for part-time work. I know when I was doing it, the requirement was you only had to do 20 hours a week. It was like 4 hours a day. You had time off. It wasn't really that difficult of work to do from a brain standpoint, but they gave great benefits. After a few months, you actually get benefits as if you were a full-time employee. Now, let's talk about the bad stuff with working at UPS. I actually watched this documentary, and 92% of the people who actually work at UPS actually started loading vehicles. So you know where your ass is probably going to start? Loading vehicles. You know what's not easy to do? Load vehicles. You know what sucks? Loading vehicles in the wintertime because it's cold as hell back there. So, hey, that's one of those jobs where you can actually make a decent income. The work technically isn't difficult work. I wasn't lifting 5,000 pounds or nothing like that. But the problem is the conditions kind of suck. You in that truck, it's cold as hell. You on that loading dock in that Bay Area. It's kind of whack. And for purposes of me, I'm not doing that shit again, and I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you want to have a side hustle and you trying to make some gains on the side. If you try to have a side hustle and get in shape, work at UPS. The running joke when I was there was that UPS stood for underpaid slaves. So that side hustle number 5, I'm gonna give that not gonna give that 2 thumbs up. I'm gonna give that 1 thumb down and 1 thumb sideways because your boy not doing it again. But it is a good way to make income for a short period of time, or is actually a good way to supplement your insurance, your health insurance benefits. If you have an employer who kind of just has a sucky benefits plan, then that's something you may want to consider, where the value of the benefits along with the compensation may make it worth your while. Now, let me go back to my paper. I don't know. I like flipping it. You know, like back in the day when you flip stuff and you lick your finger and you flip it real hard, make me feel like I'm doing something. All right, number 4. Now, number 4 was an interesting one as well. This is one that it's easy, but it's not necessarily easy, and it does require you to have some type of equipment and a little mechanical know-how. Number 4, I actually used to go on Craigslist to the free section and find people who were giving away things that I knew I could sell. Exercise equipment, bikes, toys, clothes, anything like that that I could get, flip, put it on an online app to actually sell used goods, I would get rid of. Clothes really wasn't the best one. The best things that you'll find that I was able to find that I was able to get rid of is toys, children's slides, swing sets, trampolines, exercise equipment, because people just got tired of having it in the house. People weren't using it. People started getting gym memberships. And I actually kind of looked now recently. I just took a look to see what was going on. And because, pretty much things are open back up, it was a lot of people giving away gym equipment, dumbbells, elliptical machines that may be slightly broken or may need a replacement pedal for an exercise bike. So that's definitely a good way. I literally didn't pay for any of the stuff I got. Actually, most of the things that I found, I would find, and they would say, "Hey, if you can come get it, hey, you can have it. It's free of charge." The downside is you actually have to have some equipment. You have to have a vehicle or a car big enough to transport the equipment. You'll need a toolbox because a lot of that stuff you'll probably have to disassemble. If it's a children's playground set, a slide, a trampoline, some of that stuff I had to disassemble. And hey, when people giving that stuff away, you going over there, the weather conditions, it could be hot as hell. I was out there hot as I don't know what, taking apart that trampoline. I actually kept the trampoline because my daughter wanted it. And I did feel proud because the guy was like, "Man, you really love your kids to come out here and do all this." I really love them, but I really didn't also want to pay like $700 for a trampoline set when I could just get that one and replace a few parts. So there are some pros to doing it, but again, there's vehicle storage. You have to have a toolkit. You have to have a little mechanical know-how. You have to have some place to actually stage and put all of this stuff until you can get it out and get it sold. But it's actually easy to do. It's plentiful. I mean, I've even known individuals who would go and find used appliances that weren't working, and then they would turn around and sell those appliances to companies that refurbish appliances. So it literally cost them nothing but the manpower to actually go pick it up and gas, of course. But again, that's another side hustle. But I'm gonna give that 2 sideways thumbs because that take a little bit of physical effort, and you gotta have some places to stage all of the stuff that you're getting, so it gets a little bit more difficult. Now, let's see. Side hustle number 3 that I had that was actually easy, I was actually good at, but morally, I felt like a douchebag. Morally, I felt like a douchebag. And this was telemarketing, but a specific type of telemarketing. It was telemarketing for credit cards. This back when MBNA was a really big bank. That was the bank that our president, Joe Biden, used to unofficially represent when he did everything that they asked for, but that's a whole nother story. But I used to work at MBNA at the call center, getting rid of or getting people to get into more debt. So it was dope because one, I was good at it. I mean, it's just a script. I would put my little voice on. I'd be like, "Hey, how's it going? This is Marcus calling on behalf of MBNA. I was calling to talk to you about our low balance transfer card. I had my little voice on, and people was just eating it up. And then it was dope because you see what everybody got on the screen. You already see that, man. They got a credit card with a 19% interest rate for $5,000. We could offer them this card for a balance transfer of that amount, and they'll pay zero interest for 12 months. So it was some good and bad, but you could tell from this was the moral thing that kind of, was difficult for me. You could tell from looking at, what was on the screen related to an individual you talked to. These people had a very high likelihood that if they got a balance transfer, they were not going to pay that shit off. And the only thing that was going to happen is that zero interest rate was going to balloon to something absurd, probably higher than the card they had before. So I kind of felt a little bit like a douchebag because I was helping people, but I was helping people who stood a high likelihood of being unsuccessful. Is that really helping somebody? Like, hey, I'm gonna help you get off drugs, but I'm gonna leave this cocaine right here for you just in case. Don't use the drugs. You shouldn't use them. They're bad. We're gonna work you off the drugs, but this cocaine is right here. That's kind of how I felt doing that. The money was actually dope though. The money paid relatively well. Plus, they had a lot of bonuses. So the more times I got people to get cards or got people to do balance transfers, the more money I made. You would come in, they would be like, whoever get the most balance transfer is getting a 40-inch TV. Whoever get the most balance transfers is getting $500. So I'd be like, $500. I had my little tea and throat lounger. Hey, buddy, how's it going? And I just go to my routine. But that's a good side hustle to have if you just want to make income. Pumping credit cards for the banks, especially now because credit card utilization was down during the heart of the pandemic. Now it's shooting back up. And also, another benefit about it now is you can do it virtually. A lot of places, call centers are kind of obsolete. You can do it virtually. You can literally sit at your desk, plug your headset up, as long as you got a laptop and the internet, and just make the calls, make the calls, make the calls. And it's something you can do after work because after work, I got off at 5, but at about 8 o'clock, you stop calling people on the East Coast and you start calling people on the West Coast. So you got a whole extra 3 or 4 hours to bother them before the FCC said you can't harass people with telemarketing. So that was one that I had where you can make a lot of money. It's actually not a bad hustle to do as a side hustle. It took really little effort, maybe a week of training. But if you could read what's on the card after a while, you were just freestyling, and it was pretty dope to do. Plus, like I said, you could do it from the crib. Now, number two was easy. Number two was really easy, and it gave me an opportunity to get free stuff and try free things. It was mystery shopping. Yeah, your boy tried his hand at mystery shopping once. Go to this particular place, buy these particular goods, or go to this particular place, try this particular service, come back home, fill out a survey. Next thing you know, cha-ching, you got money in the mail. It was dope. It was easy to do. The only thing with mystery shopping is, again, if I'm doing telemarketing for credit cards, I'm at one isolated location. I don't got to go nowhere. I don't got to worry about gas and all that other stuff. With this, you got to actually go out, travel to locations, but you can make good money. So it's definitely probably one of the better side hustles that I've actually done. Now let's talk about the downside of let's talk about the downside of it. And the downside was for me, I guess at one point I started doing a lot of restaurants and I thought it was dope. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go to these restaurants. But when you're doing, I don't know, maybe this just was me. Maybe they were like, hey, let's just give this guy all the fast food places he can go to till his damn chest explode in his mud. But it was kind of ridiculous. After a while of doing these restaurants, I was going to like fast food place, like just bad food after bad food after bad food. The first few times I was like, oh man, this dope. I'm just getting a free meal. But after a while, I was like, man, my God, my blood pressure can't take this no more. So mystery shopping is dope. You just have to be aware. Now they give you a lot of flexibility with what you want to do. If you say you want to go to department stores, you can really gear it towards different things. Remember, depending on what you do, depending on the scope of what you're looking at, if you're going to a restaurant versus department store, typically when I was doing it, most times restaurants paid a little more. That may be different now, and I think it is. different now. But again, that's always an option. Mystery shopping, it could be good. They let you keep the goods. They actually pay you to get the goods, then pay you to actually go rate the experience, how the store was, how the service was. So it's definitely a plus. Doesn't require a lot of effort. There is some travel involved, and if you get a lot of fast food places, your damn chest might explode. But aside from that, definitely not a bad side hustle. Now, I don't know. I just like, how old people read books and turn the pages. Who does that? Who actually used a thimble? Wasn't the thimble for like turning the pages? The little rubber. I don't think it was called the thimble. You know the little rubber thing to turn pages. Like, I don't know. Somebody probably made $1 million off of that. But the number one side hustle I had, it was kind of like telemarketing, but it was online surveys. Now this is interesting because it's a little bit different. Right now, you can actually go do surveys. Different surveys will pay you a certain amount to complete the surveys. But I didn't do that. What I did, it was actually a call center, and they still have these. You can do them virtually, but it was actually a call center to call people and solicit their participation in surveys because they actually did a study and they found out that if people were actually called to do a survey knowing they were going to get compensation, they were like 70 times more likely to do it than if they got something in the mail or an email. I know right now, if I get an email about a survey, delete, spam, delete, forever block. That's what's going to happen. So at this job, again, it was a call center, and now it's dope because, like I said, you could do it from the crib. But as a call center, you just essentially sit there, you have a script, you call, hey, such and such, I'm calling on behalf of XYZ. And right now, we're paying $20 to conduct a survey that's going to take about 10 minutes. Do you have 10 minutes of your time? If so, you can get $20 or $30. And these surveys were paying 20, 30, some as high as $40, but it would depend on what the survey was. But more importantly, it depended on the length of the survey. So they did have some surveys that took like 30 minutes. And for those 30-minute surveys, they would actually give people something like $50, $60 to complete these surveys. So that's definitely an option. It's easy to do. I didn't have that sleazeball douchebag guilt of pumping people credit cards that I knew they were going to never pay off. So that was one. It was very easy to do. Didn't have to travel. And like I said, now you can actually do it online. So those are the top 5 side hustles. I said 5 and held up 10 hands. Those are the top 5 side hustles that I actually had. That's how they were rated. There are a few more out there that I actually were looking at into doing. And if I ever decide to do one, I'm actually do a video on it to see how it go. Because honorable mention side hustle goes to Uber. I tried to do Uber Eats before, and that ended up terrible. And I actually had this idea where I was like, I'm gonna do Uber Eats for a whole 8-hour day, and I'm gonna track it to see how much money I make in one day. And my wife already knew it was gonna go bad because I sat in the car for like 20 minutes and just like didn't go nowhere because I didn't even want to turn the app on. I turned the app on, I saw these dots, and I just was like, oh shit. So I actually made some deliveries, but after about 3 deliveries, I was like, man, I can't do this, man. One, I don't have a vehicle. If your car take 93 octane, you should not be doing Uber Eats in it because with fuel prices now, it's just not going to be worth your while. Maybe if I had like a Honda or Opel or something like that. But anyway, that's it for the side hustles. Y'all let me know in the comments below what side hustles y'all have. Which ones were your worst? Which ones were your favorite? As always, hey, if you enjoyed this, check out the video on the screen. Make sure y'all hit the like, subscribe, comment, share, all that. Take care. I love y'all. Peace.